Welcome to tonight's event in the back room. I'm Hank Philippi Ryan, quickly your host for this session, and we are so pleased that you are all here this evening. If this is your first time in the back room, wow, did you pick a good night to come tonight? So we're so pleased, as I said, to have you here tonight. Quickly, I'm Hank Philippi Ryan, the USA Today best-selling author of 13 novels, including The First to Lie, which is now out in paperback, and is a nominee for the Anthony Award and the Mary Higgins Clark Award, and the brand new upcoming Her Perfect Life. Let me just see if I have a copy of that. Yes, I happen to do that. Look at that. Her Perfect Life, which just got starred reviews from Kirkus and Publishers Weekly. So I am, I know, thank you, Elyssa. Really, really happy about that. You just sit and wait, and Magic Tom, the tech guy, will move you into your breakout rooms, and you will be able to have 15 minutes up close and personal with each of our 4 wonderful authors. So let me introduce them to you now. Elyssa Friedland, wave Elyssa, great.
Hi.
Is the author of 4 novels and lives in New York City. Her newest book, Last Summer at the Golden Hotel, is a modern family dramedy celebrating the golden era of the Catskills. Elyssa is also a creative writing instructor at Yale. Nadine Matheson is a criminal defense attorney who lives in London in the UK. She is awake now. It is midnight in London. So major props to Nadine for looking so bright and gorgeous in the middle of the night. Her debut crime fiction novel, The Jigsaw Man, has been described as a spellbinding game of cat and mouse. And it is so much that and so much more than that. It is absolutely riveting. So welcome, Nadine, and congratulations on that. Kaira Rouda writes domestic suspense because she says she's fascinated by what is beneath the surface of seemingly perfect lives. Her latest novel is The Next Wife, released in May the 1st and quickly zoomed to #1 on Amazon in like 30 seconds. And her next book, Somebody's Home, is out on January 18th. And our final panelist tonight is the fantastic, brilliant Kate White. Kate is the New York Times bestselling author of 7 standalone psychological thrillers, including the just released and blockbuster The Fiancé, which, as you can see, casually displayed behind her, as well as 8 Bailey Wiggins mysteries. So we have a wonderful panel tonight. We decided to call it Great Summer Reads. Every single one of these books is terrific for you to read in this summer. So we'll start, as always, with our 20 questions, just to let you get to know our authors a little bit better. And as I said, maybe give you some ideas of what questions to ask them when you are in the breakout room. So I'll just ask the questions in the order I see you on the screen. And that means we start with Elyssa, who gets my favorite backroom question. And that is, what is the best thing that happened to you today?
This.
Good answer.
Good happened. I'm obsessed with authors, and I changed careers. I used to be an attorney, and now I'm a writer, and I can't even, authors are so much cooler. Readers are so much cooler than anyone I ever dealt with before. So I'm happy to be here.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's so nice of you. Thank you. Welcome to you. We're glad to have you. Nadine is next.
Oh.
Yeah, Nadine, what was your first job?
Oh my God. My first one. Oh, I think working for my grandmother. She ran like a senior citizens club, and I used to type all the letters for her. So that was probably like my first job. But my first, I say proper job after that, other than helping my grandma, was working in a bookshop. And I think, no, it wasn't. I used to work in Safeway, a supermarket. And I couldn't weigh fruit properly, so everyone got free bananas.
That's great, because you have this whole vast realm of experience. Let's see, Kate White, where is your favorite place to work?
I would say we have a home in Uruguay, and for whatever reason I can't explain, I work best in the heat. And I feel like in another life, I grew up in the tropics. I'm so happy when it's over 90 degrees.
Kaira, what was your favorite book as a child?
That's an easy one for me because I always talk about this, but Make Way for Ducklings was
Really?
my favorite book. Yeah. And because we lived in Boston at the time. And I also remember it because my third grade teacher told me to write to who you wanted to become. And so I wrote to Robert McCloskey and said, I want to be an author just like you. You're my favorite author. And he wrote back and said, I'm an illustrator, not an author. You should try better next time. Oh, thanks. But at least he wrote back. So that was good. So I still mention him because he wrote me back.
Elyssa, where did you grow up?
I grew up in beautiful New Jersey, northern New Jersey, Livingston. New Jersey gets a bad rap, but it's not deserved. It's actually a lovely state.
Doesn't Harlan Coben live in Livingston?
I think I don't know, actually. I feel like yes, because I do sort of feel like I did an event at the local Barnes and Noble and he had just done one and it was like I had like one person come and he had like, a few hundred.
Yeah, there's nothing like that.
Yeah, so yes, now that you say that, I do remember.
I'm sorry for bringing that up.
It's what Kaira said, it's the resilience.
Right,
right. The resilience. Nadine, do you like, this is a perfect one for you. Do you like scary movies?
I do, but I liked them more when I was younger, when I was a teenager. As I've got older, even though I write thrillers, my tolerance level has gone down. I don't know why. I feel like I prefer a good rom-com now. But when I was younger, yeah, I was always with Stephen King, Hellraiser, all of those.
Because your book, your debut novel is so creepy and scary in a good way.
I know. But... in a good way. I don't know. I think I'm just gotten older. And I've just changed. But I can write it with no problem.
You can write it with no problem, but you can't
write it with no problem. Yeah, but I don't need to watch it anymore.
That makes sense. Kate, what book made you want to be a writer?
It's such a corny answer, but I'd have to say it was those Nancy Drew books. They made me want to be a detective, and then I realized, well, no, that wasn't going to happen. But I realized that I just wanted to write about suspense, the way the so-called
I always think about that because I loved reading Sherlock Holmes stories, and it made me think that I wanted to be a detective, that it might be cooler to be Sherlock Holmes than write about Sherlock Holmes. But you see how we both turned out, so that's great.
Yeah.
Kaira, okay, here's a really tough one. Is your desk messy or tidy?
Oh, completely messy. In fact, I just had like a little cleaning, like right now, everything's like tucked just beyond the camera. So it's a mess. But my oldest son was over here with his girlfriend earlier today, and they came up to my office and they're like, this is really tidy for you. I'm like, oh, thank you. I went to the Container Store and I got these boxes. So I'm just trying to put my things into boxes, and like, then they're all still there and messy, but they're inside things, but messy. Mm-hmm.
And speaking of different books, we want to know what you all are reading as well. And we had asked you to recommend a book that you're reading so we can all share that as well, since Karen and I want to make sure that the back room has your to be read piles towering and towering and towering. So Elyssa, what book are you reading and what would you recommend?
Well, I happen to be reading right now Malibu Rising, like the rest of the world, Taylor Jenkins Reid. But I'm recommending an oldie but goodie, Jennifer Egan's Visit from the Goon Squad, which is a book. I teach creative writing, as you said earlier, at the college level. And this is the first book that I read with my students because I think that you can learn. It's an amazing story. And the writing technique is so innovative and so modern, and it's an amazing teaching tool. But besides that, it's an incredible story. And having read this with my students for the last 2 years, like they absolutely love it, and everyone takes something different away from it.
Yeah, I mean, it must teach people to trust their voice a little.
Well, there's just so many characters, and I think that it lets budding writers realize that you don't have to be super linear, and you don't have to start in like June 1966 and end in December 1968 and tell the story chronologically, but you could go totally out of order and have flash forwards and flashbacks, and so many, also like changing points of view. Some are third person, some are first person. She has sections in second person, which is really tricky. It's like, it's just so experimental and it did so well. And it's such a beloved book that I think it's like a very encouraging book for my students who want to experiment and flex their creative muscle, but are intimidated to write a full length novel. And so they just assume that they should do it very linearly, but this really shows them another way.
Great example. Nadine, what about you? What book are you recommending?
I am recommending Razor Blade Tears by S.A. Cosby. Maybe you can see properly. This is the UK cover, so it's completely different to the US cover, which I think it came out last Tuesday in the States, and it came out on Thursday over here. And I absolutely loved it because I read Blacktop Wasteland, his first one last year, and it was just brilliant. So this one, it's about a black father and a white father, and their sons are married, and they're both, to put it bluntly, they're both quite homophobic, but then their sons are murdered. So they both go on this quest for vengeance for their sons. And it's absolutely brilliant. And it's just seeing the journey of, two people who are quite, discriminatory against their sons' lifestyles, just learning about themselves and also learning about their dead sons on the journey as they pursue this quite bloody quest for vengeance. So yeah, Razor Blade Tears. That's what I'm recommending.
Wonderful. He's amazing. He's such a great guy and such a
He's fantastic.
Kate, what about you? And I want to tell the audience quickly that we will put these book titles and authors' names in the chat. So if you're madly writing them down, they'll be there for you to see when we're done. Kate, what about you? Oh, is Kate frozen? All right, well, go ahead. Kaira, go ahead. Tell us about what book you're recommending.
Oh, no, I think I sent you 2 books because I love The Last Flight. But I don't have it sitting right here with me.
Well, we have it on the topic. It's all fine.
Okay, but that is a great book. I love Julie. She's a great author and she's a great person. And that story, it's just like terrifying because anything with an airplane is just terrifying. I don't know if you guys have read Falling yet, but oh my goodness. That one, I was so glad I wasn't reading on an airplane. Anyway, so The Last Flight's great, but I also, because Elyssa, I'm such a copycatter. Malibu Rising is the other one that I was going to say. And the reason why I love this, when we moved, so my parents are both from California. I'm from California originally, and I love Taylor Jenkins Reid books anyway. But when we moved from Ohio, I finally extracted my husband and our 4 kids, and we moved to California, and we rented a house on Point Doom, and it's like right down the street from this place. So that was really fun. So anyway, okay, so you get 2 from me.
Yeah, 2 from you. I think you did send me 2, and I sent in the first one to the graphics person, but so glad that you get to talk about Julie's book and Malibu Rising as well. So that's great. Double good books from us. Wasn't that fun? We hope you enjoyed that taste of what a backroom session is like. But more fun comes immediately afterward. That's when the audience is broken up into 4 breakout rooms, and each author in turn visits each room. We'd love to show you what a breakout session is like, because those relaxed face-to-face conversations between best-selling authors and readers are the hallmark of backroom events. But breakout sessions are never recorded, because what's said in the back room stays in the back room.